for everybody's information, it's Matt's birthday, in case you didn't know. So August is a big month. You guys are supposed to bring it, actually, so you didn't get the memo. Yeah, good afternoon. Just take a minute, focus, talk about camp a little bit, and then we'll shift our focus to game week, which is why we're all here. But again, just as I said last Thursday, overall just pleased with the camp. I think our guys had a good attitude. Their effort was good and pretty consistent for the most time. So I think we saw a lot of improvement from a lot of guys, and I think the good news is that guys are getting ready to play a football game. They're excited about that. So you look back over this whole thing. I think our guys, we've had a lot of improvement. Went back and pulled something out from January just after we went through our roster and how I ranked the team back then just individually, and had a lot of guys make significant progress, I think, over that time, certainly, and August is a big part of that. We were fortunate. We came into camp pretty healthy and fortunate to leave pretty healthy, which for the most part, most of the guys were getting really consistent work, and that's how guys improve. So it's a simple formula, but not always smooth as you want. We released a depth chart yesterday, and as I always say, it's really, kind of it's a fluid situation, and especially this time of year, we really don't know at certain positions what our depth is. I think that could go as much as a couple of weeks here before we really kind of settle into who's who and what's what. So some of the names are in permanent ink, a lot of them are in pencil. And remember when I went to the NFL, I was always curious why everybody's using pencil, and I learned pretty quickly that way you can erase and say, hey, I never said that. Erase whatever you wrote down. So, I will say there is going to be, I think, some shifting as we go along. We got guys rotating in practice, and but it's a starting point. We'll just see how things play out here over the next couple of weeks. Moving into game week, so our captains for this ball game. On defense, we've got Ethan Herkett and Cohen Entringer, and offensively, Logan Jones, Mark Gronowski. They'll represent the guys at kickoff here at the coin toss. Certainly, again, I think everybody's eager to transition, just like I'm sure Albany is as well. Camp goes its prescribed period of time, and then it's time to get involved in game week. So look forward to that, and I think all of our guys are great to be at home and have a chance to swarm out into Kinnick. It's always a special thing. So that being said, though, it's the first game, especially for our entire football team. A lot of players, high percentage of our guys haven't really been out there playing offensively and defensively when it counts, and those kinds of things. That never changes. Haven't been out there in front of 70,000 people, and so we'll be curious to see how they all react. And every first game has its challenges, and this is no different playing Albany. A lot of unknowns in terms of what they're going to do schematically. They have had a coaching change. Coach Gattuso left, went back to his alma mater, and Coach Ambrose has been elevated to the head coaching spot. Still, I'm sure, very involved with their offense. He was the offensive coordinator last year, and so schematically, I think all three phases we expect them to be fairly similar, but you just never know what they've done in the out of season, that type of thing, and that's true each and every game when you open a season, and then obviously new players too. They've got guys that have graduated, moved on, new players coming in, and then transfers that you really haven't seen on film. So there's a lot of guesswork on our side. Same thing for them, I'm sure. And bottom line is you want to be as alert, sound as you possibly can, and the team's got to be ready to adjust as the game goes on, because I'm sure there will be some things that we're going to have to react to and see if we can do a good job there. So it just gets really down to solid execution, solid focus, and like all first games, just like bowl games at the end of the season, penalties, miscues, ball security, special teams. You don't want those things to be things that are going to put a hole in your boat, that type of deal. So all that being said, we're excited about that. And then just real quickly, the Kid Captain program continues, and what a great concept that is. And, just happy that we'll have 12 more Kid Captains during the course of this year. Just all of them have unbelievable stories. And this week we've got Nolan Stevenson, who's a 9-year-old from Oskaloosa. Was in a UTV accident when he was 6 years old, hospitalized. They brought him up to Iowa City and went through a 15-hour surgery, if you can imagine that. And then a week later, unfortunately, lost his leg. He was 6 years old when he had the accident. He's doing great. Also went through about 84 hours of treatment and surgery over there skin grafting, et cetera, or 84 days, excuse me, with a lot of procedures, skin grafting, whatever. So great young guy, got a great spirit, likes golfing, likes swimming, very active on the family farm. So it'll be great to have him with us on Saturday. So look forward to that. And with that, I'll throw it out for our questions there.
David, I call Hawkeyes.com. Kirk, what are the difficulties of actually trying to scout Albany? I know they have a couple coaches and coordinators returning, I think, 50 different players from last year. Yeah. Interim head coach tag. I mean, where do you start?
Yeah, again, I think schematically, at least we think you would imagine they stay pretty constant or consistent. And Coach Ambrose has done a really good job as an offensive coordinator. Was at Delaware at one point in his career, and just has done a really good job there. So I don't see them drifting too far. And same thing defensively. We'd expect similar looks than what we're seeing on film. The biggest part's personnel. It's really hard because you have transition, and it's more of that now than ever before in college football. And so a lot of new faces, and we'll just have to see as we go along. You try to piece things together. They've got some new receivers in. They've had good receivers, and they got some new guys that look like they can run pretty well. But again, you're looking at film from here, there, or wherever. And a lot of it we'll learn during the game, first half of the game, I'm sure.
Hey, Kirk, Elliot, Hawkeyeinsider.com. I wanted to ask about Mark and it being his first start, having just started to play live football again this last couple months, whatever it is. How would you define success for him specifically on Saturday?
Yeah, it's kind of like our whole football team, just hopefully hate to start with negatives, but you don't want to do anything negative. Just things are going to be really costly. But a big part of winning any sport, but certainly in football, a big part of winning is not losing. So just taking care of your job basically, and the difference is quarterback. He's got his hands on the ball every play, so it is a little bit different than other spots. It's a really critical position. He makes a lot of big decisions and critical decisions during the course of the game. But I think probably as much as anything, from my vantage point, would be not doing too much, trying to do too much. And I think during the course of this camp, we've seen him get more and more comfortable, and then went through a little period there where he's trying to maybe do too much and force some things, that type of deal. And he hasn't played in a while. I know he'll be excited, just like a lot of guys that haven't played in Kinnick. He has played in Kinnick, but not on our side. And so just try to relax and play your best football the way you've been coached, and look forward to seeing him play.
Long snapper wasn't listed on the depth chart. You guys have a starter there?
Yeah, Ike will be. He'll start out. Ike Speltz will be the guy. So they're both going back and forth, but it's one of the positions where it's not a clearly defined line yet.
And then you mentioned last Thursday that there was less soft tissue stuff going into camp. What do you attribute that to?
Yeah, I'm not sure I know actually, and it's a little bit ironic because we have a smaller roster, but. Overall, our conditioning's been pretty good, and I think part of it's just good fortune. I also do think every individual has some ownership in it, and you can't prevent everything, obviously, but there are a lot of things you can do for yourself as an athlete, but it takes discipline, it takes awareness, education, but the simple things that we all know we're supposed to do, like sleeping well, hydrating, eating good food, that type of deal, all that stuff factors into staying healthy, and I think maybe our guys are doing a good job of listening right now. There's always some luck involved when it comes to injuries and certain things you just can't avoid. But I do think there's probably maybe been a little bit more awareness on the team in terms of taking care of the things they have to do on a daily basis. Yes, sir.
I wanted to ask you kind of what your breakdown is. You look at a position like, say, about tackle, the subjective versus the objective, and how you decide ultimately who plays more or who wins that type of a job. You see every practice, you look at every single play, every single snap. How do you break that down? Is it number of blocks made? Is it his technique is better, he's more consistent with it? Is it a combination of that? And which one do you kind of skew towards if it's like, okay, we need to go in a direction here with one of these guys?
Yeah, that's really all the above. All the things you talked about factor into it, and it's ongoing too. I mentioned, just pulling out the sheet I had from January, and how different that looks now, 8 months later, 8+ months, I guess. So that's part of it. Practice what we're doing. Jack Doswell, just cherry pick him. You're talking about tackles. Had a really really, I thought a good spring, and then didn't have a great end of the spring. His last out, there was, it was okay. But he's made, vast improvement. And the good news to me after I watched that tape from that last practice, most of it was just, some technique stuff that he kind of abandoned. And talk about, again, first experience. Spring practice is not like, the place isn't sold out, but I think he had his motor run a little bit too hard, and it affected his play. So, he's really done a good job in camp, and Kids Day is the only time we've been in public, but he played a lot better than he did that last time prior to that. So it's a process. You just kind of evaluate day to day, and it is fluid. And I mentioned we've got, a lot of stuff written in pencil right now. I think we listed Trevor number one, but I'll give you some inside info. Like, yesterday one guy was at number one, the other guy was at two, and then we flip-flopped it today. And so we'll see what happens on Saturday. But, yeah, we're not 100% sure on a lot of spots, but it's daily and ongoing. It will be all season, too. The objective is to play well in games. So as we move forward, how you do as the games go on really is going to determine who's going to be playing. And ultimately, a player decides who's playing. That's really how it works out. And tell our guys, it's your job to get noticed. It's your job to earn the position. And everybody's got opportunity. It's a great thing about this.
Sure. Let's go to one register, sticking with left tackle. Do you know who's going to start, or will you tell us who's going to start on Saturday? Will it be rotation, and maybe also I know you've rotated guys
Right.
in the past, and how does that benefit you to have that rotation, so you can finally determine James Daniels, what I mean?
Right.
You've rotated guys in the past.
I think, as I stand here right now, whatever time it is on probably about 2 o'clock, right, on Tuesday, we'll start Trevor, but Jack's going to play. I'm sure he'll play him, and because it is that close. And I think they both have earned it. They both have done a good job. Sometimes it's because you don't have one, and you got to play two, but I think we have two guys that are really have made significant ground and gained significant ground. So then we'll just keep playing, and if it ends up that we got 6, 7 guys that can play starting level football on the line, we'll play them all. No question about it. Usually you don't have that. But if we do, we'll play them, and, that'd be a good thing. And we got some guys that are really close, so it's going to be fun to see how it develops here. Hey, Tom.
Wanted to ask you if you've made any decisions on true freshmen playing the
Yep.
you're going to get out there on Saturday, and maybe some clarity on the running back position. You got 4 guys listed in the two
Right.
names. How do you manage that situation?
So freshman-wise, not a lot of guys, although that's, again, as we stand here right now, still in August. So we'll see. Nathan McNeil's probably the only guy that, we'll green light him this week and see what happens. Good news is, again, we got 4 games to play with, so that's always a good thing. But I think we have enough other guys that have risen, maybe where it's going to be tough for a first-year guy to play. There are a couple of guys that have a chance, and we'll see what happens, see how things pan out. So yeah, we'll see, but just play it that one by year, week by week. And we really haven't been playing that many freshmen at the end of the day, last couple of years. And then the running back position is clearly cloudy, and part of that was we did have some soft tissue issues with one of our guys, and then another guy had a different injury, so they missed some significant time. So the picture's not real clear right now, but I think the guys we've got listed, plus maybe another 1 or 2, have all done a good job in practice when they've been in there. Kamari's probably the most game ready, based on experience, and TJ's right behind him, TJ Washington, and Jazz has played. So I think we've got a good grip on those guys, see where they go, and I think is Xavier the other guy we listed. Yeah, he's really done well, starting back last August, but he's improved with every phase. Did all season long last year, and he's been really good in the spring, really solid this camp. But again, first time in a game, you just worry about ball security, all those kinds of things. It can be, see what happens. But yeah, we'll see how it all plays out. Yep. Yeah, I would anticipate us playing at least 2 tight ends pretty frequently, and it's a good healthy room right now. Addie's done a really good job all the way through since he got here. Played well at a young age. Maybe we didn't expect it to be the level he played at. So he's a guy we all have great trust in, great leader, just a really good teammate and a pretty good player. Zach has done a lot of good things, and he continues to grow at Worth. And, then you got Hayden Large might be one of our most improved players, especially if you think back 2 years ago coming from Dort. Last year took a big step, and I think he's taken another really big step. And the defensive guys, we cross-evaluate as well, and they feel the same way. So he's just a really flexible, multiple, talented guy and great team leader. And then Voname's really done a good job too. So I think he's got a chance to really maybe emerge out of the group, and happy with Michael Burt. And then the freshman group looks good. So I think we hopefully keep moving guys forward. But we plan on them being an integral part of what we're doing.
Real quick, is Jeremiah Pittman, what's his status health-wise?
Yeah, it took a long time getting him back, and I think last time you guys saw us, he was on the sideline. He's been back probably about a week and a half right now, and it's been pretty seamless. So the good news is, it was a long recovery, but he's doing well. And I think we just have to be smart about his volume. But again, anytime you get a senior back who's experienced and he's got a great attitude and good player, got him back in the deal. And right now we've got to be smart as we move forward. But I think with the additions of Jonah and Bryce, that's really been a good help fortify that position. Will's done a good job too, Will Hubert. So I think as a group right now we're doing okay there.
I'm just curious for the amount of guys who are stepping into bigger roles, haven't started. In your estimation, what makes for someone that can make that transition, or what are some of the things that those guys do that allows them to be successful in those bigger roles?
Yeah, I mean, it's just processes. I don't know if it's an overused word, but it's just so true, and especially in what we do, because pretty much the whole year is laid out. So how guys handle the whole year, and that's in this building, but it's also what they're doing outside. Academically, socially, all those kinds of things. Exceptions to every rule, but for the most part, a lot of those guys on that wall over there were guys that just came in and worked hard and did it on a daily basis. And obviously really concerned when Jack Campbell graduated and got drafted, but here comes Jay Higgins, and we thought he'd play well, but boy, he played even better than maybe we anticipated, and that's fun to see. But the reason it happened is just because of the way he worked those first couple of years on campus, and when his opportunity came, he jumped in there and did a great job, and he earned every bit of it on his own. So that's what I was alluding to earlier about the playing time. Players that ultimately either they earn the playing time or we just something happens and we just got to put somebody in there before I always go back to Alan Reisner going in that one game. I thought I was going to get thrown in jail for child abuse. But it just, you hope that doesn't happen. You hope it's an ascension that's earned.
Brad Schultz, Daily Iowan. What are your thoughts on revenue sharing and maybe some disadvantages or advantages that you feel Iowa has there?
I'm all for revenue sharing. I think it's outstanding. The world has changed, and certainly, the way things look then compared to 15 years ago, night and day difference. And we can thank them for all that. But I think it's great that money is going back to the athletes. I think that's really so deserved and a great deal. If we could just keep it to that, I'd be a perfectly happy person. But unfortunately, we kind of struggle with that as a rule. And there's some things already going on. I think the changes that have taken place in structure the past year here, less than past year, are all really positive. I just hope at some point we can contain what's going on with NIL and that type of thing. So I don't want to say I'm not optimistic, but I'm not overly optimistic. Somewhere in between, and just hopeful that for the betterment of our game, we can figure this out. The NFL had an advantage because they had a lot less teams when they set their rules up. But from a structure point, they've got the best league, best thing going. Although I did look it up. I think I mentioned it last week. There were, 3 small market teams doing really well in baseball. So maybe our bye week, somebody explain that to me. But anyway, just, for competition, that's, I think we all should be able to agree that, this is the best thing for our sport. That ain't going to happen, but we'll see.
Jack Leader with Case here. You've done a lot of these week ones. Obviously, you can learn a lot about
things you're looking for besides obviously getting the win?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, yeah, we want to win the game. And, you know, we don't talk about that a lot, but talk more about our performance and how we play. But that, why else would you line up if you're not trying to win, certainly? So that's first and foremost. But, you know, you're curious every first game just how things are going to be, how we're going to react, how we're going to handle whatever comes our way. This team is really interesting in that, you know, we've lost a lot of really good players the last couple of years. Got a lot of new faces. You know, who is, you know, last year Caleb Johnson just grabbed that running back role in a short time. I'm not sure that's going to happen this year, but, you know, who's going to do what when the door does open, when opportunity's there. So, you know, just really you know, curious to see what kind of growth we can show from a year ago. And then, you know, it's going to be ongoing, especially this first part of the season. I think it's really, this is a big, you know, big 5-week block for us as a team.
Hey, Kirk, Jeff, you're on KCCI. A lot has been made about the receiving core and the improvement they've made in the offseason. Where have you seen the biggest improvement, and going forward, what more would you like to see as they kind of develop and improve?
Yeah, twofold. I think the health, you know, we talked about the health thing earlier, and that's a position that tends to get hit a little bit more with soft tissue stuff. And then I would also add the maturity, and I think those two things kind of go together sometimes. But you know, we've got a good group of older guys that really work hard and set a good tempo. And then they've you know, John's done a good job, I think, with those guys daily, and they're showing improvement each and every turn. And so hopefully they can get involved and you know, help us become a real balanced offense. That's our goal.
You touched on it a little bit earlier, but just the challenge of balancing, evaluating what you have and also winning the game, winning game one. Is that even more difficult this year than years prior, just because of how many guys are up for grabs, how many spots are up for grabs?
Yeah, not necessarily. I mean, we're going to play the guys we think give us the best chance to win, period. I mean, we're always going to do that. But when things are truly, you know, really close, then, you know, we think we know, but you don't always know. So that's why game experience, I think, is so important. So what we know right now, what we being the coaches, we know what we've seen in practice over a prolonged period of time. Camp is, you know, roughly 4 weeks, so you really get a good evaluation there. And tell our players all the time, like, you know, it's a long process, and over time you really, you know, formulate some opinions. But all that, it doesn't go out the window, but it really, everything's building towards what are we going to do in game competition. And that started in January. So, yeah, now we got a chance to be out there in the field, fans, the whole 9 yards. It's, you know, it's one more step of the evaluation, if you will. And I'm hoping every guy gets out there, plays really well. That'd be great. And then, you know, hopefully we have some depth and all that stuff. But it's, you know, it's just part of the process as we go forward. Excuse me.
What's sprung Sam Phillips to the top of the depth chart in the last couple of years?
Consistency is the first thing I would say. You know, he's just a really impressive guy. When we met him first, him, his mom, dad, and I don't want to say he's better than we thought. You know, I don't want to make it sound like that, but we thought he'd be a good addition to our team. But yeah, he's out there every day. He just works hard, and he's really showing up. And I'm just thinking of one play in particular he made in the red zone, probably about 10 days ago or 8 days ago, something like that. And it just, he went down and, you know, basically took a ball off the turf and made a really nice play. And, you know, you're down there trying to score a touchdown. That's important. And, you know, it was very natural. So that's the other part about it, too, that we haven't talked about. I don't think we've tackled since January. Now, I would say that our defensive guys their ears don't work so well. And we've been a no tackling zone since January, and, you know, we get guys tackled all the time. But, you know, now we're playing live football. It's going to be a little different. So the evaluations changed there, and ultimately, we tackle in drills, but not scrimmage. We don't scrimmage. So it's one more step in the chain here, and yeah, I hope we're doing the right thing. But we've kind of done it that way for a long time. But it's just, yeah, it's a different deal. But that play, I guess, when I'm referencing there is like that's what you're looking for. You know, good players do that kind of stuff.
David Eichel, HawkeyesInsider.com. Kirk, we talked a lot about Mark Gronowski just in terms of his leadership and him being named the captain, voted on obviously by the teammates, I guess. How would you describe his leadership style and how he's kind of captivated just just the offense as a whole? And I guess, how have you seen him really progress since we got the opportunity to watch him at Kids Day?
Sure, it's a it's a challenge for any newcomer to become a leader in a program. He's been here less than a year, a calendar year, and then double the challenge because he came in after surgery, so he's in a brace or what do they call those things, and so he's not participating in some of the stuff. And the winter time's a really intensive strength conditioning program, so he's not doing that full speed. He's recovering, nothing he can do about it. But I think his approach was really smart and mature the way he did. He didn't try to force anything. He just kind of organically earned everybody's respect, I think, and just the way he operates. I think it became easier once he was able to actually practice, and practice, back that up. He was able to be involved in the summer program and be part of the team that way and doing all the stuff that everybody else was doing. So I think that's probably really where he accelerated when the guys, got to know him a little bit differently and watched him compete. Whatever they might have been doing, strength conditioning, all that stuff, and and then it's carried over into the football. But he's got a good way about him. He's really a humble guy. I won't say understated, but he's got a quiet confidence, but there's no arrogance there at all. And I think it's easy to look at the guy and say, okay, this is somebody we want to follow. And you got to play good too, and that's part of the deal. But he's done that, and it's just been a really good teammate. So it's been a gradual process, and I really credit him for not trying to force it, because that you could see somebody having that inclination, but he didn't do that.
Hawkeyes.com. Wanted to ask, kick returner wasn't listed on the depth chart. Obviously, Case will be back there.
Good chance Weege will be in there. Yeah, good chance.
Who do you expect to be next to him?
Yeah, we're not sure yet. And we got the good news is I think we have a couple candidates. Sam's one of them. Sam's done a nice job there too. So we'll see. And we're still looking at the off returner on the kickoff team. That's something that's still up in the air here, and we'll probably make a decision here as the week goes on. But it doesn't sound like much, but that's a really important position. It's a communication position, judgment, and all that type of thing. So I know LeVar's still mulling that one over a little bit, but I think we have good candidates. It's just deciding on who best suits that role.